one single loss doesn't kill you.
Yeah. Now I'm not sure
Like
if I was
that is
able to
kind of,
enter that elite path, but personally, like I get like a claustrophobia knowing that like my future is in the hands of random people, elites that on a whim for arbitrary reasons could make a decision on me. So I always hated that. So for me, it's hard to even get a job in that kind of perspective.
well, it's the difference between having your fate in the hands of like 50 to 100 people versus one single
Yeah.
person or one single organization. And that's also why there's the pressure in corporate America to generally conform to certain ideologies or beliefs or certain social trends, because if you don't really fit into the club, you are more at risk of
Yeah.
being ostracized, which can kick you out of the off the track. So then the next levels above that on each side, on the institutional side, is what I call the Ivy League class, because it's not all of them, but historically these are people with Ivy League undergrads or Ivy League graduate degrees tend to be at this level. They're within 1 degree of separation of the establishment elite. Like maybe this, for example, is the president's personal counsel, or this is the doctor for the CEOs. This is where they do kind of intersect.
Yeah.
Or these are the people who are like a slightly higher ranks in corporate management or in the professional classes, whether it's government, nonprofits, corporate America, established big law firms, white shoe banks. This is like, whereas independent, the institutional professional class is the associate, the Ivy League class is the partner at the
Mhm.
big law firm.
Partner with the
So like
pedigree
that's
that's needed for that. Yeah.
yeah, and the partner, the creator who's friends with a few senators in Washington.
Mhm.
Like that's kind of that's the Ivy League class.
And at this point, it's
And
kind of like the elite. The percentages is like, is this top 1% here or different?
yeah, we're getting into the top 1 to 2% at this point. And then on the other side, yeah, is the same, like the successful business owner class, which is definitely in the top 1% or less. These are people whose business has gotten big enough that they generate a life enough money to give themselves a life of luxury. Like they can afford to live in like a Beverly Hills or a Newport Beach without having to worry about prices for things. And they can afford to hire somebody to manage all of their operations. So they are basically they can live a life like a semi-retired person, but they've built the business big enough that it kind of could run itself. And it's not and while it does that, it pays them enough income that they can live a very good life. I usually got use $1 million a year as the benchmark, but it could be more or less depending on where you live.
Yeah.
So if you can make $1 million your net profit after delegating all your responsibilities, you are in the successful business owner class. And yeah, that's like the top half a percent of people really in the United States. Um,
There's so much going on. So this is the class that most people have access to if, they put it together enough. Running a business, I have a small business is impossible enough. But in one sense, I would expect the numbers to be a little large on there. But at the same time, knowing how hard it is to run a small business like I am, like it's
well, that's 1 million in net profit. That's not just
that's
revenue.
true.
So, like, and that's what you pay yourself after all your employees and hiring somebody to basically replace you as the manager of the firm. So
Being a
that's
kid,
a pretty big
as
level.
a millennial, we were promised that that's going to be your lifestyle when you're growing up. Like, oh, you don't have to just go to school and that's going to be it. But then you realize the reality is like, no, this is like a more complex kind of thing. And it's a lot more going on to get there.
Yeah, I think that's generally people's aspirations in America realistically. You could with just hard work and persistence, you could advance one class up above where you were born. With a little bit of like fortune on your side, you could advance probably 2 classes. 3 plus classes in one generation is a little bit
Yeah.
unrealistic. Like, as somebody who was born in an independent professional class family, my goal is to get into the successful business owner class.
Mhm.
Like, for me to get to the counter elite, it's possible, but I'm gonna need some luck on my side because I'll explain why when we get to the counter elite class is. But the counter elite class essentially is the top of the independent professional class. That's when somebody has a net worth of above 50 million plus a property that they own, and they have enough money that not only they don't have to work, but they can influence the society and the bigger system without being within the establishment.